and very welcome to this Meet and Share today, where we will connect with the Nordic talent. My name is Jessica Klingsborg and I'm a Swedish entrepreneur living in Barcelona, and I will be your moderator today. As you may know, the Nordic countries have been a hub for globally successful startups such as Skype, Spotify, etc. And why is this? Is it because of the cold and the darkness that this innovative idea springs out of there? Well, partly it is because of that these countries are in the top 10 of several indicators, such as best country to start a company in. We have a very high level of education, high global innovation index, digital talents, and more. And Barcelona is famous for its entrepreneurial ecosystem and for its high quality of life. And every day, this city attracts Nordic talent more and more to come and stay and start something up here. And today, I'm very happy to be able to share with you and present to you very interesting entrepreneurs and professionals, all of them with some kind of Nordic connection. We will share our stories and experiences, and I will moderate it, and I will also share my entrepreneurial story towards the end of it. And in the very end, we will interact with the audience and invite you to send us direct questions for us to answer live. And if there is any question we can't have time to answer, we will make sure that we answer it on the website. So, who do we have with us today? First person to welcome is, let me see here, Alessio Ruggeri, Controller of Expansion Spain and Portugal for H&M Group, Spain and Portugal. And we have an Italian living in Barcelona, working for a Swedish brand. Welcome, Alessio. Are you with me? I hear you very badly. I don't know about the rest of you.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you better now. The technical problems always in these kind of webinars. Well, tell us about how did you end up in a Swedish brand like H&M and your professional way to become a controller in expansion?
Yes, I've been working in retail for 10 years. Before that, I had a previous experience in healthcare, but for personal reasons, I've decided to quit the job and go back to Sicily in my hometown. From there, I started my journey with HR, working in store as if this is possible. And after some time, I received an offer to move to Rome, where we opened our fantastic fashion store. And there, I was also closer to the support office, so I could collaborate with the controller. And a few months later, I had the opportunity to join as controller. It was during this time that I got in contact with students from all over the world, and also I realized that this company is a fantastic place. But if you're open to extend your boundary. From Rome, then I moved to Milan, and after a while, I learned of an open position within the Spanish and Portuguese expansion team, and here I am.
Well, fantastic. Are you all hearing Alessio fine? Because I'm a little worried. I can't hear him very well. And I see that Johan is not saying yes either. Can you approach the screen and the microphone a little bit more?
Yeah, sure.
Let's hope that we can go on with a little bit better sound. But you are originally from Italy. What is it to be Italian, living in Barcelona, working for a Swedish brand?
Yes, I come from a Mediterranean country, so I've traveled a lot. Being here in Barcelona, it feels like being home to me. But of course, the Swedish is the brand is Swedish, and during my journey in H&M, I noticed some cultural differences between Swedish and Mediterranean countries when it comes to work culture, family dynamics, and also environment. There is, first of all, less hierarchy in a Swedish company compared to Mediterranean companies. And I would say during lunchtime, you can sit at the table with top managers, speaking about everything. And if you have a job issue, write to them. You don't go with necessity of going to the air. And I can say also Swedish colleagues are moderate in general and extremely polite, but also very straightforward. They go straight to the point. And Mediterranean people, we are, I would say, more passionate, especially during brainstorming. So we like.
Okay, yeah. I can imagine that that is where it differs a little bit.
Yeah. Also, I would say that Swedish companies take care a lot about work-life balance. You can see from a rigorous time management to very good parental leave policy, for example. And more important, in everything Swedish people do, sustainability is a natural part of their life. So, therefore, sustainability is also part of our business model. We used to say fashion and quality at the best price in a sustainable way.
Yeah. What can you tell us about sustainability initiatives from H&M?
Yes, I could talk about, hours on this topic, but I will be very quick.
Yeah, because I can imagine it's vast.
Yes, we have, I can tell you that we have a team of a dedicated team of 370 people, and the group is, so it's quite big. And our vision is to lead the change towards a fully circular and climate positive fashion. Climate positive is a fancy word to say that we want to remove more greenhouse gases from the atmosphere than we produce. And also we want to make most of all resources, cutting carbon emissions and turning waste into new resources. Let's say our planet doesn't have enough resources for us to keep doing what we have been doing. So we need to do a change. There are several examples I can talk about. I would say working with innovation companies like Renis, Game, Cycle, and Infinite Fibers that are as eager as us to make a change into fashion and sustainable fashion.
Okay.
We also, let's say, award very out-of-the-box ideas. I'll give you an example. There is a company, it's called Vegea, that is in collaboration with Italian wineries, has found a way to turn waste from winemaking into vegetal yogurt alternative. It's been also animal friendly and also different salt and harmful substances during the process. So it's quite a good innovative technology solution. And we have also applied this in some of our conscious collections. I don't know, if I have time, I can talk about also the main thing, recycling. We want to be fully circular. So we collect garments. In 2019, collected about 29,000 tons of garments. That is more or less 45 million. It's a huge number. And
Yeah.
we also donate, every kilogram we collect, we donate €2 to charity. So we already donated something about €2 billion to charity. And half of these garments will be reused. The other half will be recycled into new fiber used in our garments.
Well, that is very impressive. What would you say is the hottest topic right now for global players such as H&M when it comes to people management and people strategy?
I would say democratize fashion. So to create an attractive work environment for everyone. So fairness, inclusive and diverse environment is crucial for us. And we want to recognize, welcome, and appreciate all individual differences.
Well, thank you, Alessio. As a Swedish person and seeing all these quick facts about H&M wrapped up here on one slide and listening to what you're saying, I get very impressed. with what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to the audience questions later on, that they might have something specially for you. I will move on to welcome Fredrik Gillström. Are you with me, Fredrik?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello there. Founder of Adamo Telecom Iberia. So please, tell us more about who is entrepreneur Fredrik Gillström and what made you start a company in Barcelona?
Well, I'm Swedish by origin. I'm from Stockholm. I've been starting companies my entire life, or at least my entire adult life. Was very lucky in my first company that I started in the late 90s, and I was able to sell it to a listed company on Nasdaq called internet.com. So in that sense, I very much participated in the .com boom and the .com era. I've since moved between a number of companies, and I moved to Barcelona back in 2004 to run the operations for the Swedish Adamo out of Barcelona.
And why did you choose Barcelona for that?
I moved to Barcelona because I contracted to the Swedish Export Council to do a study on where to start the company based on the environment to start a company and the willingness for Swedish people to move and work there. They came up with two options. They suggested Barcelona or Ibiza. I had never been to either of them, but I thought that Barcelona sounded a little bit less partying and a little bit more work than Ibiza. So I selected Barcelona. So the first time ever I was in Barcelona, I started the company to run the Swedish operations. Then while in Barcelona, we realized that there was a local opportunity. And when we sold off the Swedish business, we decided to restart against the local market.
Well, good decision. I'm happy that you didn't choose Ibiza, because maybe we would not sit here and chat then. What do you think is the biggest difference from before towards running your company from here towards Sweden with Nordic talent in the company to change today and having Spanish talent and working towards a Spanish market? What is the biggest difference in your experience?
There are big differences, but in the end, there's a lot of similarities as well. What we heard previously about the difference in hierarchical systems. I remember our first Spanish employees refusing to sit down at the same table as me having coffee because you don't share a table with your boss. But a lot of these differences over time as the work environment becomes more and more international, they're gradually moving away, and it's more and more accepted, a more flat organization and a more agile way to run a company here as well.
Oh, that is nice to hear. And talking about corporate culture, do you have some philosophy or core values like implicated being a Nordic person and working with Mediterranean staff? Is it a mix, or how have you chosen to?
Now we are. I mean, we are now owned by an EQT fund, a private equity fund with Swedish origin called EQT, which is part of which was started out of the investor group, which is also a Swedish big company, and I think both through my influence and from the influence of our owners, we do have a few. Swedish core values that is working themselves through the organization as well, both in terms of sustainability and in terms of equality and in terms of the core CSR principles for how to run a company, which is something that's becoming more and more important globally in all organizations. But I think being Nordic origin and still influenced by our current owners, I think it's probably a little bit more important for us than it has gone to the broad market here. As we are very much also developing fiber in rural areas, it's also something that comes from our Swedish background, the sensation that everybody should have the right to have connectivity and participate in society on equal and democratic terms, independently if you live in a big city or if you live in the middle of nowhere. And in the middle of nowhere is where we're currently putting fiber now in Spain.
Oh, that is fantastic to hear. And I also know that you have a lot of key manager positions, women in your company. How do you deal with the culture, the Mediterranean culture here, and the culture that the Swedish women are used to? I mean, being like a flat company.
We don't
How,
we don't have any Swedish currently in the company, but we do have local, and it is a challenge. I mean, these topics are a challenge also in Sweden, where I've run companies before. It's an important challenge, and it's an important challenge to address. I do believe that Sweden probably is a few years ahead of the local market here when it comes to gender equality and that kind of topics. But what gives me a positive feeling is that I see that things are changing, and things are changing obviously in Sweden as well. But also here we are moving towards a more with a positive trajectory. Then you can always wish for things to move faster, but at least it's moving in the right direction.
and where do you see your companies in company in 10 years from now?
10 years is a very long
Yeah.
time frame. We have a plan for the next 3 years. In 3 years, we will basically have built out fiber to everybody in Spain, in the provinces where we are acting. So in that time frame, the actual deployment phase will be basically completed. I mean, we have grown from being 5 people back in 2010 to currently being a not H&M size company, but still a decent size company on the local market here. We do have a continued growth path, and it's quite exciting times. We've been extremely lucky in the situation we are currently, that we have not been negatively affected by the problematic situation we have this year in the world in general. So we're very well positioned for growth this year and in the future years as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Fredrik, and congratulations to an outstanding development that you have created
Thank you for
here in
having me.
Barcelona. Thank you. We move on to the next Italian, I have to say again. And we have two Italians with us today. Johan Cavallini, President of the Board of the Swedish Chamber. Could you tell us about your connection to the Nordics and what brought you to Barcelona?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jessica. Do you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Oh, great. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Alessio. Thank you, Fredrik, for very nice presentations. And congratulations, Alessio, for being part of the H&M that is now coming back strongly on the market again. I have followed you a little bit as half Swede. And congratulations, Fredrik, of course. We are many people having had to make big shifts in our companies, in our structures these days. So congratulations both. Yes, Jessica, you said Italian. I am half Italian, yes, and half Swedish, as my first name may say. And I grew up, and I was born and grew up in Sweden, where I lived until after the university studies, actually. When I moved to Italy. I have been living in Italy for 12 years. I was working in Milan in different companies. All of them were connected with Sweden, of course, or with the Nordic countries. Not of course, but that's a bit like we have been touching a little bit the theme about the values that exists in Swedish companies. And I think that if you are born and grown up in Sweden or in a Nordic country in general, I think many things comes by themselves, and you feel at home in organizations that are less hierarchic and more that where you're empowered to do many things, very flat organizations. So I think this has been one of the main reasons that I have always remained in Nordic companies. And it was a Nordic company that brought me to Barcelona, of course.
Of course.
Yes, and so I came from being responsible in Italy. I became responsible also in Spain, and their headquarter was in Barcelona.
Okay. And then you came to the Swedish Chamber. And
Then I
now you're,
came.
yes, and now you're president of the board. And could you tell us a little bit about the Swedish Chamber and what kind of platform it is?
Yes, the Swedish Chamber, as you've seen in the fact sheet, it's a chamber of that quite old, 25 years, not so old. Uh, we have an older organization in Madrid because Spain has two Swedish chambers. Um, but it's a platform that unifies Swedish companies or Spanish companies that are interested in or are doing business in Sweden. It's a, I'm Before we used to call it more chamber. Now I would like to call it more a platform because I believe that the chamber, we all that have been working with memberships, we know how difficult it is to get to involve all the members equally. Normally, you have some that are more active and others that are less. So I believe that calling it platform, it requires a little bit more from the members, and it enables more member to benefit from being part of the platform itself. Because what we want to do is to create this positive, dynamic momentum. But what we can say, what it is, it's a platform where we provide services through our members, through different companies that are asking for company or entrepreneurial services. It can be everything from legal issues to distribution, to search for distributor search or importation issues, exports, these types of issues.
Yes. And what would you say would be the highest added value to become a member in the Swedish Chamber?
Uh, I think there are. It depends a little bit on the member. I think for Swedish entrepreneurs, I think the one of the uh, biggest uh, assets in the chamber is to have a network of alikes of other Swedish entrepreneurs or Spanish entrepreneurs with a Nordic mentality or with willingness to work with the Nordics, and is a bit of following these typical core values of the country or of the entrepreneurial life in the Nordics. So I think it's very much inspiration, and through inspiration you get ideas, and ideas create business.
Yes.
So I think that for Swedish entrepreneurs, you have very much this, because today it's not like it was 25 years ago when the companies had very often Swedish top level managers that wanted more a club, more a social club.
Mm.
I think that in our landscape, especially here in Barcelona, we have so many other social clubs and events,
Yes.
except for this period, of course. So normally, Barcelona is filled with international, interesting networks. So I think that we are more going into a value-based network than necessarily a typical Nordic social club. Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
I see what you mean.
And
And
for and sorry, and for Spanish entrepreneurs or companies that are interested in Sweden, of course, it's very important to get to know how the business culture is, how the negotiation behavior is, how everything works. There are all of these soft values that are within dealing with Swedes that I believe is very, it can become very handy when you are doing business there.
Yeah, absolutely. And instead of slowing down during COVID times, the Swedish Chamber is actually gearing up and accelerating. Can you explain a little bit more how?
Yeah, we had to shift to make a big shift in our cost structure, as many organizations these days, and which in a way were heavy and were difficult, but in another way it was a modernization that at the end maybe should have happened later on in the future. So, and in our case, you're saying gearing up. I think that the increased digitalization we have enabled us to be more proactive in our international networks. For example, Sweden, the Swedish Chamber is part of Swedish Chamber International, which means that we are able to communicate and to give to our members uh, interesting events, digital events, hybrid events that are taking place, for example, in our colleagues in their offices in London or Paris or Hamburg, which are the big New York, which are the biggest Swedish chambers abroad. So, or at least in Western Europe, and Western world. So, what is interesting here that has enabled us to provide more interesting or a higher level events to our members in a completely digital way. So this is one part that we are stepping up the activities.
Yes.
Another one is that opening up towards a more international approach. It also have, like I said before, inspiration creates ideas and ideas create business. And it has, at least for now, the first months with the new organization, we see that we have very much activity in the chamber. We have a completely different participation among the members, which in turn creates this positive momentum of ideas and future business. So,
Yes.
yeah.
No, and it's very exciting times in all ways. I mean, as a chamber, you're always growing with requests from the members. And now, for example, we also do a format that is vice versa, so that we can create recruiting events for Spanish talent actually going up to the north.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's not only Nordic talent coming here, we are also swapping sides. If you can just say one word about that, because it's nice and interesting to know about it.
Absolutely. There is a big, an important producer of a future technology in Sweden. The company produces batteries that, as we all know, will take a much larger place in future products. And they are they are building a factory in the north of Sweden. And our aim now and focus, we are very much ahead in the discussions with them to provide to create an event together with with Catalonian and Barcelonese stakeholders, and to have this matchmaking meeting to provide competent personnel to Sweden. But of course, moving to Sweden is not only is not like moving to a Central European country. It's a complex move, and it's a complex choice for many families. So that's why we want to create this base of to make this matchmaking event through Swedish stakeholders and local stakeholders here, and which the idea came up because of the closing of the factory here of Nissan in Barcelona. So it's kind of helping Europe to integrate more with helping with tools to find the right talent for the right places. So
Fantastic.
I think the future of the Chamber of Commerce, not only ours, I think all over Europe, can be more of that, more of in that type of areas
Yeah,
to help people to find each other, which we are doing through the networking, but in a broader perspective.
in a broader perspective. Interesting. Interesting times. Thank you,
Yes.
Johan. I'm sure you will get the word back when we are coming to the audience's questions. Now,
Yes, I would like to add just one thing.
okay,
You asked before what's the add-on, what's
added
the
value, highest added value.
highest added value for a company to be part of us, to be part of a Nordic Chamber of Commerce. I think all companies that, of course, are linked to the Nordics in some way, but that wants to identify themselves with something that is future oriented and modern, I think they have a really interest in being part of our network.
Absolutely. As the chamber is promoting and selling, it's the best seller, salesperson for their own members.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, thank you, Johan.
Thank you.
We will have more questions, I'm sure, in the end. I was also asked to share my story as an entrepreneur in Barcelona. And my love story with the city started already back in 1999 when I first came down with clients for the Formula One race, the annual Formula One. I'm coming from the travel industry. So I was coming down with my first group to this high-end sport event. And I was totally swept away from Barcelona. It was something in the air, something that was different from all of the other places I've been to. And I was traveling a lot as having my base in Stockholm and working with company travel worldwide. And I fell in love so much with the city that on the third time I decided to, on the plane back to Stockholm actually, I decided to leave Stockholm and move down to Barcelona 1 month later to start a new life from scratch. And that is typically me, because I have a typical entrepreneur mind. Everything, it's more like an attitude, mental attitude, than a job position actually, because being an entrepreneur is that you want to be a part of changing and shaping the future. So with Fearless, I came to Barcelona a month later without checking anything. I didn't have family, I didn't have a job, I didn't have a place to stay, and I didn't have any friends. But pretty quickly everything was sorted out, and my first experience in a Spanish event agency was quite challenging, to say the least, coming as a Swedish young woman 20 years ago. And it triggered me pretty quickly to start my own business here, because I found my place in the sun where I wanted to be. So I founded my first company in 2003, a destination management company called Performance Barcelona, working with only Barcelona as a playground and towards the Scandinavian market for incoming company travel and events. Then later on it has expanded. So it includes 7 destinations in Spain now, called Performance Prime Cities. And an entrepreneur mind is always thinking about different projects at the same time. And this city is really inspiring. So at 2010, I co-founded my next company called Mural Lab, which is in a total other world. It's in the art concept world, and later has expanded to be a consultancy within various directions. As a company owner, I, of course, became a member of the Swedish Chamber immediately when I started Performance in 2003. So I have been an active member for 17 years now. And I have been in and out from the board, and I'm happy to say now that I am elected Vice President of the Board since June, together with Johan Cavallini's leadership. And it is very exciting to take the Chamber onto this new digital challenge step and moving on with the entrepreneurs in Barcelona and also all the innovation companies from the north, and to have interaction with them. Another thing that I'm very passionate about, being a Swedish woman, is of course women empowerment. The Nordic countries are a role model worldwide for women taking more space, and you just see the Prime Minister in Finland now. It becomes an echo worldwide only because she's wearing a blazer without something under. I mean, up in the north that is like nothing, and out in the world that becomes an echo, and we are still thinking, how can it be? There is much more serious topics than that, of course. So down here in the Southern Europe, I would love to always be able to add my voice to inspire other women to take more space, to inspire them to start their own businesses, and to be a mentor in any way I can. So I was helping Svea Barcelona to starting up Svea Professional Barcelona in 2016, which was a platform for Swedish-speaking women to come together with a focus on careers, also the senior ones that have left their careers that could be mentoring the younger ones. So that is a very important piece for me that I keep moving and pushing. Being in the travel business, always been passionate about traveling. I have also been passionate about the inner journey. So in 2016 I decided to take on a license training for being a coach with the Scandinavian Leadership School by Lars-Erik Unestål. Because also working with other people's processing adds on to my own inner process. And thank God for this, that I put the eggs in different baskets, because now with the COVID, my main business being in travel and bigger events, I have to sit patiently and wait till that picks up again. And fortunately, I am busy with other things, coaching and consulting. And I founded Prime Coaching Mental Training in 2016. And it's more one-on-one coaching, and also for smaller teams and organizations. I'm very much hired as a speaker for when it comes to entrepreneurship and women empowerment. Any kind of inspirational speech, I'm open to any suggestions. Currently, I'm collaborating with Barcelona City Council with a new initiative they have taken towards the Nordic countries within the innovation sector. And I have become the connector between Barcelona and the Nordic countries to build bridges between the two places, to create new opportunity and to bring new business to Barcelona. And I feel very fortunate to be able to transform 20 years of experience and networking with contacts here and in Scandinavia to be able to have this important function for the city that I have been selling for 20 years, and I'm so passionate to be in. Still, the love story still keeps going on. And so there is more in the pipeline for 2021. We hope that everything will normalize and stabilize as soon as possible. I didn't write any questions for me, so I'm hoping for the audience to ask me something, because now I will leave the word to Xavier Mayo, that he will help us with all the audience questioning. Are you with me, Xavier?
Hello.
Hello there.
Do you listen to me?
Yes, and we can see you as well.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Jess, for moderating, and thank you for the speakers for being in this meet and share activity. Well, the first question goes from Emilio, and Emilio is asking all of you, in fact, but maybe Alessio, being someone from a big organization, because the question says, from your experience, what are some practical ways to make an organization feel less hierarchical, and how to make it a place where people can feel more empowered? Okay, and well, I don't know whether, well, maybe we can make all the questions, because there are just another one from James. How much did the language barrier impact starting up? And I think that this could be addressed. My feeling is that it's the only one with on a startup profile.
Yeah, I would gladly take it on.
Okay, and well, apart of, well, any of you, is not addressed to anyone specifically. And apart from this, just a question from myself, which would be, which are the fields or the areas, especially in the business sector, which you feel the connection between the Nordic countries and Barcelona can improve most? Okay, so
Okay.
this would be the three questions. Is to all the panelists, and please feel free to answer them. Thank you very much.
Well, if I say the language barrier, I came down to Barcelona with the Spanish that I have studied in high school, and it was not fluent. I have a connection with Spain. I have a Spanish father, but I didn't grow up with him, so I was not born with the language for free. But I do think that his Spanish genes have impact on me, because I think anything related to any kind of passion makes everything more easy. So I did a miracle, because I got a job after 3 days in Barcelona working in a Spanish agency that only spoke Catalan. And I pretty quickly learned it. Also, having all the tapas and the copita de cava después also helped, of course.
So I can fill in, because I think maybe being Italian to learn Spanish is not as big challenge as being a stupid young guy from Stockholm with no no Spanish genes whatsoever. For me, there was a huge language barrier, which I didn't realize beforehand, because I was an ignorant Swede without very much understanding of how the world worked in general. It was not until 2010. So I moved here in 2004, and in 2010 I actually learned to speak somewhat more fluently. Having kids and having the kids start and going to Catalan school obviously did accelerate the the learning curve somewhat. But I have been, and to a certain extent I still am, the super giri in the office, even though we now have even bigger giris here. Maybe not physically, but at least in terms of language skills. It is also true that the level of English understanding and comprehension in society in general has improved a lot from 2004 until today. It's a lot easier to find people generally who speaks English and professionals who speaks English. But it is a challenge, and at least for me, learning new languages in even semi-adulthood when I first moved here, it is a challenge. Me not being a language geek from the beginning, but it's something you can deal with. You have to get in there and start talking, accept doing all of the mistakes, and be able to laugh at yourself a little bit.
You have to do the mistakes, and we have to fail in style. That's the only way we can rise.
Can I fill in?
Of course.
But don't you think it also depends on where your clients are? I mean, Fredrik,
Yes.
you were really into local business and trying to, having to fight here and there. I mean, what I have understood from, especially with the new business that coming in, where it's less presential. I mean, you can work from wherever you like. I think it depends a little bit from where your clients are. What do you think?
Are you asking all of us, or because
Yeah,
I can agree, because in
yeah,
my case, for example, I had my native language that I had fluent towards my market and target, working towards Scandinavia. And here I could be a little bit limiting on Spanish towards my providers because I was their client.
Yeah.
So that kind of chain, of course, that helped.
So I mean, and that's what I mean. It's a city which is very international. So you have a lot of people that almost never use the local language, Catalan or Spanish. We have a lot of guiris, like you say, Frederick, that are taking are bringing ahead their business normally. But of course, it's like I think in most places, if you want to enter the society, you should learn the local language.
Alessio, I don't know whether you want to answer the question of about the hierarchy and how to make a place where people can feel more well, or some other of the panelists.
Yes, I can take that, and I would say H&M is a big company, and so it's also overstructured. Now we have almost 5,000 stores in the world, and I would say the hierarchy is quite, you can feel it, but also I think that you feel that if you are connecting with the others, and you also take responsibility in your projects, you can also leverage that to make it more. This is actually how I feel it working here.
Okay, thank you, Alessio. So I would like to tell you if you have had headphones, just to try to put them, because they're very difficult, the sound, to listen to you. Okay, but in any case, if we have 3 more questions. Jessica, if you don't mind, I'm going with them.
Yes.
The following one is for you, and it says, what do you think Nordic innovation needs to do more for the community as of 2021?
As of 2021, I think Nordic innovation, the next step is, well, we have clean tech, we have sustainability in every part of the society. But I think that what's really coming up is the people-centered innovation. I think that they will, as up in the Scandinavian countries, the employees today, they are saying, what do I get out of working here in, for example, Spotify, as personal growth? It's not enough with a phone or a gym card anymore. So how can I grow as a person too? So I think that the next step is people-centered innovation, and that it's more focused on the employee wellness. Some call it employee branding, but I think this will also come down to the south and eventually become very important, because in the final it's all about the people and the co-creation who has to do something to make this a better world.
Thank you, Jess, for answering this question from Eric. The next one will go to Johan, and it's the following one. What do you think will be the next big thing within the Chamber of Commerce to bring more value to the members and to the community?
Thank you, Eric. Yes, I think a little bit like Jessica was mentioning, the new industries. That's something that in the last year that we have tried to focus more on as a chamber, since we believe that this is where Swedish business will focus their efforts the coming years. So smart city, eco business, all the business that is going towards a better use of the resources. I think we will move more into that area, high tech, everything that is linked to 5G. We have that is where we as a chamber are putting our efforts right now, and are putting and it's where we think that Barcelona can become a hub for all our other chamber colleagues all over Europe actually. So this is where we would like to put our efforts. On the other hand, and it is also due to the landscape, the industrial landscape that we have in Barcelona that we follow day by day. I mean, I can only take an example from the robotics industry. Just a couple of months ago, or yeah, 6 months ago, ABB just introduced or launched their research center outside Barcelona, which is with a very high level of R&D. And of course, a company like ABB doesn't do that if they don't have long-term plans for that. So I think that even if the connections will be the traditional ones, will be the mechanic industry, and will be from all those strong parts that Catalonia has to offer, and Sweden too, where we can have this interaction of economies, agricultural, high-level food products. I think that I mean, at least we can't do everything. So as a chamber, we are focusing on these future-oriented sectors, where I believe that Barcelona is doing a great job in moving into.
Th- Thank you, Johan. After there's another question about do does the chamber do with regard helping companies in which sectors, but that will come after. Now there is a question for Jessica from Alice. Do you mentor also women who are considering starting their own business and are not originally from Scandinavia?
Well, of course I do. Absolutely. Just contact me. You have my link on LinkedIn. I will be delighted to be of assistance and help.
Wonderful. And there's a question from James about, I don't know who can answer this, is there a Nordic startup group?
Well, not yet, but it's in the pipeline.
Okay, and this is linked to Johan. The question is the Swedish Chamber helping companies based on innovation? You have partially answered this. And circular economy?
Yes, in fact, we are now looking into a project with the circular economy within plastics. So it's a kind of a green loop that we call. And this is something that we are looking into and trying to develop a project together with a Swedish company that is very strong in this. So yes, we are.
Great questions.
Okay, I don't know whether actually there are no more questions in the chat. Please feel free to send them to you. I'm taking the chance of making my own question based on, I think I did it before, but the question is, which would you think that are the sectors or the areas which are more promising in order to make better, stronger the relation between the Nordic economies and the city of Barcelona?
Well, spontaneously, I think about innovation within tech, and everything to do with sustainability and smart cities. That we have a lot of parallels between, first of all, Stockholm and then the other countries as well, and Barcelona, which is, I think, the hub now in Europe and the gateway to the rest of the world. And through that, I think it will grow in other kind of businesses too, like gastronomy, eco, agriculture, etc.
Wonderful. I don't know whether there are some other panelists that would like to make an answer to some of the questions that have been made already. Frederick, Alessio. Okay. There's another question about the chamber, which is, I think, I understand it goes to Johan, which is any business of the chamber with Latin America?
In this, for the moment, no, but this is something that we are, because traditionally the Swedish chamber in the Sweden's chamber representation in Spain, as Barcelona and Madrid. Normally, Madrid has been the hub for Latin American contacts, but we are actually trying to develop something new within that also, because I think the whole Spain and whole Iberia has a very high potential as a bridge to Latin America and Europe. So yeah, we are doing that. So please, if you have suggestions, you're very welcome to contact us.
Yes, because we actually
Jessica, you were saying?
Yes, I was saying that we received actually request just before this webinar today about an export and trade thing with Brazil. So we are just about to start on this venture too. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, wonderful. And so Anahe, that was the name of the person who was making the question. You know that you can contact these people, and they will love to answer you.
Yes.
The next question is for Ton Quiz, and I don't know whether I have said it properly. It said, is there a recording? Yeah, is there a recording of the webinar available later? Of course, there is going to be a recording available, and it's going to be edited, and then I suppose that tomorrow, the latest, it will be in this website, which is the website of the Expat Week. Okay.
Okay.
No more questions. I think we have 3 more minutes. I don't know whether the panelists would like to highlight or to make any remark or any consideration with regard to the issue.
Not for the
No?
moment. I think there came in another question for Alessio, no?
Alessio, okay.
Any advice on how to discover entrepreneurial projects launching up in Barcelona?
That's it.
For people who wants to get involved.
Yes, sorry, Alessio.
Is that question to me?
Yes.
Well, I would say any advice. I think keep looking and get contact. That is the main thing in order to be involved in the process.
Okay.
If I may add.
Yeah.
Johan, yes, come on.
Yeah, no, I'd say for to Emilio, I would contact the different chambers of commerce and look what they have in pipeline and what is boiling in their because I think you can through the business it's through the business networks, and in Barcelona there are many, it's not only ours, is where you can really find your likes and where this entrepreneurial projects come up. Maybe you other can come up with some other idea.
No, but I was thinking that, as you are saying, Johan, that to contact the chambers, because the Swedish Chamber is very open to collaborations with other communities now. That is, for example, Svenska de Barcelona and other kind of global platforms that you can pick up interesting contacts and business from. So if you go to the chamber, I think we can guide you and find what you're looking for.
And just add that, I mean, obviously the Swedish Chamber of Commerce and the different chambers is a valuable help here. But there's also, at least pre-COVID times, there is quite a lot of events organized in specific business verticals. If you have a specific area of interest, if you have a specific thing that you're working on, or a specific area that is close to your heart, I'm assuming that many of these events have now moved online. So just either through the Chamber of Commerce or other chambers of commerce, I'm sure you can get guided to the specific events referring to the business verticals or the type of startups that you're passionate about.
Thank you. Well, that pretty much sums it up. I'm so happy that to have had you on board. Thank you, everyone. I think we are offline now, or we are still online.
Yeah, I think we are still online, and well, just encourage you to make the poll of the session. It's very helpful for us, and I thank you all the attendees, the panelists, and I encourage the panelists just to remain for 2 minutes more, yes, to have a small chat after the session. Thank you.